The love triangle between Cersei, Robert, and Jaime was a messy one to say the least. Would you even call it love between any of them? Certainly not between Cersei and Robert. And where the books last checked off, hate is the only thing expressed between the twins. A hate triangle is more fitting. Though Robert was set on never marrying another woman after the death of Lyanna Stark, his foster father, Jon Arryn, convinced him having the Lannisters as allies would be beneficial. Their wealth and power would strengthen his hold on his newly acquired Iron Throne. Cersei and Jaime were twins, and always had their taboo incestuous relationship going on, even throughout the early days of the marriage to Robert. She had always believed she would become the queen, so this betrothal was exciting news for her. She could be the queen and have Jaime, but Robert's nature was beginning to affect her. Soon there was nothing between the newlyweds but resentment. Her lustful husband didn't even want to lay with her. He recognized her beauty, but her cold personality overpowered it, so went on with his unfaithful ways, only concerned with his vices. The manipulative Cersei would never let him father any of her children. All three are Jaime's doing. Jaime hated Robert even more than Cersei did, for taking her away from him and how he treated her. Joffrey, Myrcella, Tommen were pure Lannisters in appearance, inheriting the golden hair and green eyes from both parents, which complicated things because of how dangerous the game their parents were playing at. If Robert ever found out the truth, it would mean the heads of all of them, including the kids. Robert had no mercy when he was in his rage. Cersei knew it, so they had to be extra careful. Jaime couldn't even hold them as babies to prevent suspicion. Suspicion would be all it takes to anger Robert, but he was too dumb to see the signs without anyone explicitly telling him the truth of the matter. He was an extremely neglectful father, which is surprising considering how much time he spent with his firstborn, a bastard he fathered while growing up in the Vale. When he did show any affection to the infant Joffrey, well, I'll just read the quote from the second book. Joff would cry whenever Robert picked him up. His grace did not like that. His bastards had always gurgled at him happily and sucked his finger when he put it in their little base-born mouths. Robert wanted smiles and cheers, always, so he went where he found them, to his friends and his horse. Robert wanted to be loved. Joffrey's cries could be due to his annoying bratty attitude, or Robert could have just been a little too rough. Robert, often drunk and often a little too rough, had to be told by Cersei to tone it down when they were together during their first year of marriage, but he just blamed it on the alcohol. It could also be the combination of both reasons, Joffrey being annoying and Robert not recognizing his own strength, or his beard being too scary. It is described as a wild thing, thick and fierce, but his absentee ways are apparent in the teenage Joffrey. Jaime believes the little monster was hungry for a pat on the head from the man the entire realm revealed to be the greatest fighter. He admired Robert just as much as all the young boys who heard stories of his admirable rebellion that crushed the Targaryens out of power.
My father won the real war. He killed Prince Rhaegar. He took the crown while you hid under Castle Rock.
The king is tired. See him to his chambers.
Come along.
Cersei was too foolish to realize this though. Robert often told Joff that a king must be bold. And what were you telling him, pray? I did not fight a war to seat Robert II on the Iron Throne. You gave me to understand the boy cared nothing for his father. Why would he? Robert ignored him. He would have beat him if I allowed it. That brute you made me marry once hit the boy so hard he knocked out 2 of his baby teeth over some mischief with a cat. I told him I would kill him in his sleep if he ever did it again, and he never did, but sometimes he would say things. His real father stayed away. The man he believed to be his father neglected him, and his mother spoiled him rotten. Horrible combination. And then add a little incest genes and some psychopathy. Even Robert, who closed his eyes to things he didn't want to see, realized Joffrey's unusual cruelty at an early age. Someone told Mini Joffrey that one of the kitchen cats had kittens in her belly. Instead of asking a bunch of questions like normal kids do, his twisted mind thought it would be a good idea to cut her open and show one of the kittens to Robert. His shock led him to punching his quote-unquote kid in the face. It was so hard that Stannis thought he killed him. This is the same incident that Cersei referred to as mischief with a cat. Her reaction to this act shows how she enabled his horrific behavior. I mean, obviously there wasn't a lot she could do, though she did make things far worse dealing with a child with severe mental issues. That looks like a textbook psychopath with the whole torturing and mutilating of animals at a young age, that he would transition to humans later in life. Afterward, Robert showed even less affection to the inbred.
You let that little girl disarm you.
Even Catelyn Stark noticed the little regard of warmth there was for Joffrey. But still, Joffrey craved his praise. The assassination attempt on Bran when he was comatose was Joffrey's way of trying to get some love and attention. He hired that dagger at Winterfell because Robert drunkenly said Bran being put out of his misery would be for the best. Joffrey always had to take things to the most violent route. Robert actually expresses how he truly feels about his family to Ned during the hands turning in the books. Robert was a pretty big dirtbag, but moments like this chapter make him so likable. I am sorry for your girl, Ned, truly. About the wolf, I mean. My son was lying. I'd stake my soul on it. My son. You love your children, don't you? With all my heart, Ned said. Let me tell you a secret, Ned. More than once, I've dreamed of giving up the crown, take ship for the free cities with my horse and my hammer, spend my time warring and whoring. That's what I was made for. The sellsword king, how the singers would love me. You know what stops me? The thought of Joffrey on the throne, with Cersei standing behind him, whispering in his ear, My son. How could I have made a son like that, Ned? He's only a boy, Ned said awkwardly. He had small liking for Prince Joffrey, but he could hear the pain in Robert's voice. Have you forgotten how wild you were at his age? It would not trouble me if the boy was wild, Ned. You don't know him as I do. He sighed and shook his head. Perhaps you're right. Jon despaired of me often enough, yet I grew into a good king. Robert looked at Ned and scowled at his silence. You might speak up and agree now, you know. Joffrey's younger siblings never seemed to care for him much either. We don't spend a lot of time with Myrcella, since she is shipped off to Dorne pretty early into the story, but the little moments she shared with Joff had no warmth. Tommen, the youngest of the three inbreds, had to put up with the most of Joffrey's cruelty. They were 5 years apart, so the weak and cowardly Joffrey could get away with messing with Tommen. He even killed and skinned his pet fawn once. But it was Jaime who cared for Joffrey the least. Even Tommen screamed and cried when his brother was dying. When Jaime's puppet master, Cersei, ordered him to show no interest in Joffrey, he followed orders completely. He felt nothing when his firstborn son died, only worried for his twin sister's well-being. He says, Joff was no more to me than a squirt of seed in Cersei's cunt, and because he deserved to die, I have made kings and unmade them. He was kinda happy to see the monster go.
Someone forgot to write down all your great deeds.
There's still time.
Is there? For a 40-year-old knight with one hand? How can you protect me with that?
I use my left hand now, Your Grace. Makes for more of a contest.
Both Robert and Joffrey ended up dying believing they shared the same blood. One thing they did somehow manage to have in common was their stupidity and horrible ruling decisions. Myrcella and Tommen were lucky enough to dodge any inbred defects. They turned out to be alright, even with their crazy mother spoiling them. They won't be so lucky to go before finding out the truth about their parentage, since the rumors are rapidly spreading in the current book story. We'll see how things end up for them. Hope you guys enjoyed this one, because it's always fun having a reason to delve into Robert Baratheon's character, and this probably won't be the last time. Thanks for watching. I'll see y'all later.